Hello everyone, welcome to GoTarryn TV. This is Dr. T, PhD, the prodigy of sports psychology, and I'm out here on a wonderful day here in Atlanta, Georgia, about to welcome one of my very favorite guests who's in Las Vegas, Nevada, Miss Kristy Wegert, my workout buddy. And Miss Kristy Wegert will be coming on here momentarily, but before she rejoins us back here on GoTarryn TV, I'd like to ask everyone out there if you please be so kind as to like this video, leave us a comment, and share it with all of your friends and family out there. As you all know, Kristy is one of the very best personal trainers on the planet, and I couldn't think of a better guest to come right here on today's show to discuss a very interesting topic today with us, and that is of these TikTok influencers lately that are body shaming guys at the gym. That's right, what am I talking about exactly? Well, we'll jump into that, and we'll go ahead and talk about this and kind of delve into this unique phenomenon that's kind of hitting this country nationwide, and I think it's going to be a very fun topic to kind of explore. So I'm going to love picking Kristy's brain on this and getting her perspective on what's going on here, especially with these guys being body shamed by these TikTok influencers. So don't go away. We'll be right back in just a few moments. But remember, with GoTarryn Health and Fitness, it's your time, it's your investment, it's your life. We'll be right back. Yeah, how have you been?
My camera, because I'm not looking at you. My camera is here, and you're over there.
Oh, no worries. You're fine. That's okay. Yeah, no problem at all.
It's harder for me because I literally can't talk to people without giving them eye contact. It drives me crazy the way people are nowadays. They can't look at you. And
that's funny.
I love the video that way.
Yeah, that's funny. That's good.
Yeah.
Well, that's good.
Eye contact, even though you're not really looking at me.
Yeah, no. Yeah, you're coming through loud and clear. And yeah, just I guess just to catch up with you. Anything new since we last talked? What's been going on? How have you been doing?
No, it's snowing.
Snowing. Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
The city has been this way yesterday and the day before. I think the rest of the week is going to look like this.
I didn't realize that.
Drifts of snow coming out of the sky from every direction. It's really neat.
Wow, what a difference. Here in Atlanta, Georgia today, it's been about 80 degrees outside. I don't know if you could see, like right now, it's still pretty, everything's like blooming and blossoming. We're like getting an early spring here.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I can't believe it. I didn't know that was doing that where you're at, though. Gosh, that's amazing.
Yeah.
But that is pretty, though. I do miss that about the seasons that we don't get here where I'm at.
In Georgia?
Like we just have like these kind of very compressed times where we just literally, it just seems like we don't get like a true winter here in terms of like, I can't remember the last time it snowed here. I think it's been a while, like several years, in fact.
Yeah, I know it snowed when I lived in Marietta, at least once. Not much, you're right.
Yeah, I'm trying to think back the last time, but yeah, I thought it would be cool today to chat about. I guess you saw I guess before we jump into it, that article discussing. Yeah. Before I sent you that, Kristy, and before I brought you on today, did you already know about this? Was this something that you were kind of privy to?
I mean, okay. I just know about men trying to pick up women at gyms. That's as old as the hills,
Yeah, right. Yeah. So for the people watching, I guess, I did kind of a formal introduction before I called you on here, but just to reiterate today's kind of interesting topic, it's kind of twofold, I think. One is, like you just said, about the stigma maybe sometimes men get of gawking at other, well, let's face it, at either women or maybe even at other men. But in the second part of that twofold equation, what we've seen a lot, and probably people watching have seen this. In fact, some of these stories have gone viral and been very mainstream newsworthy. But some of the female, I guess you call them TikTok influencers. I think I'm saying that close to maybe what that is, what they consider themselves at, or what others people perceive them as, that they're actually going into gyms and filming themselves working out and kind of getting irritated or annoyed at the men who are supposedly or allegedly watching them working out, and they're calling them creeps, and kind of going into, I guess it's that they're labeling them as body shaming, right? They're kind of, or gym shaming the guys for looking at their body. Is that kind of, do we have that right in the synopsis?
I mean, the gist I got from the article you sent me
Yeah.
was that, if you go to the hashtag, I actually did a little more research after I read your article.
Yeah, there's a lot of rabbit holes to go down on that. You're right.
Yeah, I really kind of checked it out a bit because, I mean, of course I'm aware I've been working out in gyms since I could. And,
Yep.
So there's plenty of that going on. But, I mean, there are so many facets to this. It's unbelievable. First of all, can a guy ask a girl on a date anymore without it being a friggin' legal charge? I mean, there's that piece. And so there's a lot of overreaction going on with a lot of these women who are, not all of them, don't get me wrong. There's plenty of legit complaints of things. But there was this one guy on TikTok, I forgot his name, but I think he changed his last name to Swole. Okay. He's a personal trainer. And he's been talking out against some of these videos. And he was in the article, actually.
I think I've seen that one. Yeah.
Yeah, and I appreciate his angle on it because not all of these guys are actually being creepy. They might look at you, appreciate the way you look. They look again, and you happen to catch them on video, and you're turning it into a thing, and you're making more out of it. Then there are actual guys who are physically imposing and standing in your space, and, I've been there too, where men have approached me, and it's disgusting, and they're saying all the wrong things, and no girl hates being looked at or hates attention. It's just, there's that, you can go past that level where it's gross.
Yeah, well, and Kristy, let me ask you this, because what you just said, from what I gathered from that one video about the girl who was doing the TikTok, and, it seemed like sometimes in general, women don't like that attention, I guess, of men looking at them. But in this case, on one of them, it looked like she was feeding off that, like waiting for her opportunity for the men to look at her, because either if she didn't like it, I don't know, was that her reaction of filming it to kind of call him out and say that they're creeping, looking at him? Because the other part of this, and I want to be careful how I tread on this, but is some of the outfits that these women are wearing too. I think that plays a part in it, at least from, what I can tell, because, and again, the reason why I'm being careful with that, I'll give you an example, and you'll appreciate this. So I have a client, and she has 2 daughters, and when we were talking about this one video, from what I could gather, the girl from the video, the one I was watching, I'll just say pretty scantily clad. I have a daughter. I would never allow her to wear that. And, me saying, and again, I didn't go in this direction, but I said, well, some women better be careful wearing something like that. And she got very offended and upset that I'd said that. They said, hey, you don't have a right to say that. You know better. You've got a daughter. And when she is of age, you'll see that it doesn't matter. She could be naked, and no man should be gawking at them. And I just backed off. I said, you know what? I'll just stop right there. What's your take on that, though? I'm just kind of curious from your perspective on that.
I feel like she was being overly sensitive.
That's the way I see it from that viewpoint. And plus, I don't want to cut you off, but that's what I see from these influencers generally. Like you said, yes, there are different cases, but the ones I've been seeing, if you're so offended or annoyed, why pour gasoline on the fire and put a camera there and dress that way? Again, I'm just kind of making that point, but sorry to interrupt. Yeah, continue, please.
What you weren't saying, and I hear what I'm reading between the lines here, and I see what that was assumed. She made the connection that you were going, she was wearing a tight outfit, she deserved it. And that's not what you said. She assumed something of what you said. And I wouldn't have taken that way at all. There are women who go to gyms and they look like they're trying to get picked up on. And
right.
Plenty of lonely guys in the world, that looks like an invitation. And it's not wrong to ask for a date or to say, you look beautiful, or wow, you've been working out so hard. I appreciate what you've done. You look strong, lovely legs, whatever. Nobody hates hearing nice compliments. It's when it becomes lengthy and disgusting that it becomes a problem.
Yeah, I mean, you're
But
right.
what you're not wrong.
Yeah, and again, I'm not trying to overgeneralize that either. I'm not trying to, and I'll go ahead and say this. I absolutely agree with her that there's no way that a man could ever use an argument of like, well, she was dressed like that, she was asking for it. I don't agree with that whatsoever, especially if it comes to even more serious things like assault or rape or what have you, I mean, or sexual harassment in general. No way. I would never think that you can ever blame the victim on that one for sure. Having said that, yeah, right. That's the caveat, kind of what you were saying, that I don't think this is so one-sided that these women are, quote, victims that these influencers are showing. And so when I watched a few of these videos, and again, I see comments on both ends. You see a lot, I don't know, maybe more women are defending these girls and more men are on the guy side. I don't know. I'm just assuming that's probably what it is. But from what I see it, from my perspective, just taking that out of the equation that I'm a man, when I see that, if I was at the gym and if there was a girl like that and she's filming and I find out that she's filming me and commenting like, oh, he's watching me, I would just think it's like, really? You have a lot of time on your hands. I wish I had that much time to be able to do that. That's the first thing that comes up in my mind because I think a lot of these women are probably a little, I don't know, narcissistic or egotistical if they really think that that's the first thing that comes to mind. I'm like you, Kristy. When I go work out, I'm just serious about my workout. I put my headphones in, I just crank the music up, and I just go. I'm same as you. I'm sure, that's the last thing that's even in my mind. And I would like to think that that's probably the last thing for most normal, average guys. Maybe I'm wrong, but I'm just saying that that's kind of my, perspective on that.
I can tell you that, years of being in gyms, and I am not the typical woman a guy is going to approach either because, I'm not like super lean. I don't look like mouthy and weak and like I'm just a cardio queen. I look like I could hold my own and I don't mind talking to anybody. So nobody approaches me like that typically. I get it a little, but it isn't often. I don't think that is the point. I guess my point is it's like, I don't think that it's as often to anybody as you think.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it's on the internet and it's in a very concentrated place under a hashtag called gym creep. So it looks like it's happening all the time, but I don't think it is.
Yeah, I think you're right. Because let's face it, you're right. At the gyms, does it happen? Absolutely. I mean, it's funny. There are times where I see certain instances where it's so obvious. You could see the typical guy trying to really try hard and flirt with a girl, which, again, that's to be expected. But I think I agree with you that I'll just say this, if it has happened more frequently, maybe I'm just so oblivious to it because I don't notice that. I don't go in there and see all the time like, wow, look at all these guys staring at all these girls, these creeps. I don't see it, and I go to many different gyms too. So, yeah,
Yeah. Well,
yeah,
I mean, yeah, I don't know. I feel like it's just a strange thing because it seems like people are creating their own drama. It's like what is it called? Neuroticism.
yeah, right. On that, yeah, right, exactly. A lot of psychology there, because sometimes we can definitely overanalyze things, and there's a lot of psychology to that. If we're highly neurotic and we're thinking, oh my God, that person keeps staring at me, maybe there are cases like that. But if it gets, I'll just say this, and I saw one of the comments of one of the people was saying in that article, if you're so offended or annoyed, why not go to an all women's gym? And then the response to that was, whoa, you're a sexist pig or whatever, how dare you? We should be able to go to any co-ed. But again, it just trickles down to that whole rabbit hole of just so many variables, like you were saying, people just fighting. I noticed this didn't seem very one-sided in terms of what I noticed. It seemed very conflicting in what people's opinions on this one was. And to me, it just seems kind of silly. Really, that we're arguing over this.
Boys against girls back when we were in, elementary school. We'd all team gang up on each other or whatever. It's that same game. It's just
it does seem very elementary. Yes.
Adult rappers.
Yep.
This is an aside, but I will say this. Taryn, I've been married a long time. You know, I've been with the same guy since 1998, and I never did online dating.
Mm-hmm.
But if I was a single lady, I would way rather be picked up on in a gym than a bar.
Yeah, that's a good point, huh?
You
Yeah.
know, I wouldn't go and do online dating because I feel like it's really not for me. I like to get the experience of the human in front of me. So if I was a single lady and I went to Lifetime and some fit guy wanted to pick up on me, that's a lot better than a frickin' alcoholic. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, that's a good point. You're right. Yeah.
You know, you got the gene pool figured out. You're at a place where people are trying to be healthy. They can pay the higher fees. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You've definitely separated the cream from the chaff, or whatever the saying is.
Yeah, that's some good filtering there, of weeding out some, what you're not looking for. But yeah, like I'll say this too, Kristy, that one of my first personal training jobs when I moved to Atlanta, we're going back to about 2000, so whatever, like 23 years ago. I was a personal trainer at the Concourse Athletic Club, which, if you're familiar with Atlanta, it's the King and Queen building, very bougie, high-end country club type. Have you been there to that fitness
Yeah,
center?
I took a
Beautiful.
couple classes there. It's awesome.
Probably by far one of the best health clubs I've ever been in my life, and much more, worked at. I had the pleasure of working there for a couple of years. I absolutely thought that was an amazing fitness center. And what I noticed a lot of, and you probably, if you've been there, a couple times, you might have noticed this, but that is a very pretentious type of meat market gym, because some of my clients, and I remember this, I still remember 20 years ago or what have you, that some of the women I would train would actually be running late. They'd say, hang on, Taryn. They'd go to the locker room. 5 minutes later, they come out fully make-upped with earrings and halter sports top and all that. And I'm like, whatever, it doesn't matter to me, because, a lot of times they were trying to attract other guys. I saw a lot of that there. In fact, that seemed like a real dating place. And in fact, a funny story, Kristy, that one of my first clients that I was training there at that time, there's a jewelry company in Atlanta that's real highly prominent. I don't know if it's still around. It's called Friedman Jewelers, and it was owned by a gentleman by the name of Max Friedman, who at that time, I'm guessing he's probably not around anymore. He was at least in his 80s, I think. And he was engaged to my client, who was much younger. I think she was in her 40s, and her name was Yolanda. And I remember she'd come in with these great big, huge diamond earrings and a diamond choker and full makeup, and she'd walk in, and a lot of the guys would be, now there were probably a lot of creeps or guys or whatever looking at her, and she would say that, she would comment to me and like, oh, I don't know why these men always look at me all the time. And I think she liked it though, because during the workouts, she would always often ask me and say, hypothetically, would you ever date someone like me? Or do you find me attractive? If you weren't, thinking that I was going after a man with so much money, she would ask me questions like that. And in my mind, I guess I was jaded because I was only in my early 20s at that time. And I was just like, wow, I guess this stuff really does go along, because it felt like real surreal to live through that.
It actually sounds a little bit like she was being creeped.
Kind of, yeah. When I think about it back then, now looking at it, yeah, I would say so for sure.
It's
Yeah.
the female version of, do you like me?
Yeah.
Like me, my beautiful? Should I leave this other guy for you? You're kind of cute, personal trainer.
Yeah. It's so funny because
That's
she would
totally
have
what she
these
was
like,
doing to you.
yeah, she would show me like, look at this diamond bracelet, and I'm not really a material guy. I'll be honest. The materialistic stuff just doesn't impress me. You know that by the car I drive. Anybody who knows me, the way I dress, obviously. And so, like, to me, whatever, to each their own. That's great. But when I was at Concourse Athletic Club, and I don't know if it's still that way, but I think, again, at the time, I was just really impressed with what a great fitness club that was. And I don't see stuff like that so much at, like, for example, the YMCA. I go to the Y almost every day for my workouts. Total difference. It's more of a family-oriented gym. You don't see that there. At least I definitely don't. But then again, maybe at like an LA Fitness, right? You probably do see more stuff like what these girls on the internet are doing, I'm guessing.
I mean, I used to work at LA Fitness first I was studying for my ACE,
I
and I
remember
would go
that. Yeah.
really early in the morning. I would open the gym up on Holcomb Bridge Road.
Yeah, I think I remember you telling me that in Roswell. That's right.
Yeah, and then I did some spin classes for a while. I taught spin for like 2.5 years, and
Mm-hmm.
there were a few guys that were like, they'd come in early in the morning and say gross stuff to me because nobody was around but me.
Wow.
Some weird stories. Another trainer said a couple of weird things to me once.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah, I'm sitting here I'm standing at the front desk trying to wake myself up at 5 in the morning, and the music in the PA system, and I'm doing this just to kind of drink my coffee and get my body going.
Yeah.
And he's staring at my butt, and he's going, wiggle, 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 wiggle.
Oh
And I'm
gosh. Oh.
you
Yeah.
weren't hired from the wiggle department. Go. And I think it's just the humor about these things, and I'm grown up enough to just make it silly so that he feels silly and he stops doing what he's doing.
Good for you,
Most girls
Kristy,
have
but
no idea how to disarm that kind of situation.
no, you're right. I think that was brilliant. Again, very good reverse psychology from you, but most girls or most typical women might, go a different route. They might actually say, I'm filing a lawsuit for sexual harassment. I mean, there is so much, I think it's like a continuum. It's like you said in the very beginning of the vlog, like some guys can't almost pick up a girl or ask them out for a date unless there might be a lawsuit attached to it, coming. So there is some kind of continuum, I think, where, for example, what you just said is totally inappropriate, in my opinion. I think that definitely oversteps bounds, unless if it's welcomed. If, for example, in my opinion, if there's a group of friends or a cluster of real close friends, and the girls are like, yeah, totally, joke with me that way, or vice versa. If the guys might be offended with it, although I know we're generalizing, it's usually the other way around.
Yeah.
But on the other side of it, I think some women get a little too offended easily if a guy is totally, very honestly just not trying to be offensive. I think that happens too. And I think that a lot of times in these videos that we're seeing, I watched one video where the guy was just like literally maybe looking, and he might have looked at the girl for a half a second, and she was like saying how gross that was and such. I was like, come on, like that's ridiculous. So
Is it the
I
one that she had her husband come stand by her, and when that didn't work, she
saw that
approached?
one.
I
Yes, I
watched
did.
this one too, and I
That
was
was
just like,
that was the personal trainer, was it not?
I think so. And there was nothing wrong with what that guy was doing. He was
I didn't
just,
see anything, and he asked her to leave, did he not? I think he said you could leave if you want, or you don't have to be a member here, something like that. And a good for him to stand up for himself too. If I was his boss or his manager, I would have fully supported him and said, look, you're harassing him, and that's the way I saw it. But yeah, absolutely, I agree with you, no question
well,
about it.
here's another thing. Like, this is an off-topic example, but a very good one nonetheless. I have a
Sure.
friend who just thinks he's the ladies' man. And
Yeah.
we're at Duran Duran at the Gwinnett Arena. He goes
Cool.
down, has a ticket way down front, and we're all back here in the stadium. So he comes back up from the stage, and the show hasn't started yet, and everybody's facing the stage, right? So he's walking this way, and they're facing this way. And he goes, when he gets back to his seat, wow, all those girls were looking at me. And I'm like, Jim, honey, they're facing that way. I think that's what this camera is doing, is that it's facing this way. You don't know what this guy's thinking, what he's really looking at. You might remind him of his favorite cousin.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah.
No idea what's going through his head. It might not have anything to do with the stuff below the waist.
And that's a good point too. That's a great example, by the way. Like, for example, in my opinion, a lot of times I try to go with my gut or my intuition, but having said that, I always try to give the benefit of the doubt and not judge a book by its cover, so to speak. Like if somebody was staring at me, let's say, the first thing I'd be thinking was like, well, maybe there's something on my shirt. I spilled some coffee or something, or maybe, like you just said, maybe I remind them of some. And that's happened actually. I've had people come up to me just flat out and say, "Are you so and so?" Like because they would just think that I was somebody that they might have known. I think that we've all had that happen probably in our life with the whole 6 degrees of separation. We all have a doppelganger somewhere. But you're right. You can't ever just assume that a guy, unless of course he's just being very, because yeah, we've said it. There are guys who are very not tactful, I guess, or open about just not even caring sometimes how they're just being that way. So it's interesting that gyms now have to have a certain type of etiquette to correct that, and I think that's really, really interesting.
Well, there was always gym etiquette, but it had more to do with the way you put the plates on the barbell,
Right, right.
whether you clean the bar or not. It was, can I work in with you? Do you know the lingo of a bodybuilder so you can get in there and not look like a dummy? But
Yeah, yeah,
it had
yeah,
very
yeah.
little to do with whether a guy was going to pick you up or not. I always thought that was a bonus, to be honest.
Yeah, if anything, probably you're right. Most women would probably be, complimented by that, and it's funny. So I guess that we are generalizing because I'm sure that it could happen the other way. I'm sure that there could be guys in the gym who might feel, I don't know, uncomfortable if they see women ogling them. Although I know that that kind of goes against the standard. Usually, that's not typically what people think of. But yeah, I mean, again, I do think that there's something there that going back to how women dress in a gym, sometimes these influencers, when I watch what they're wearing, um, I'm just thinking like, well, if that was my daughter or if that was my wife, I'm sorry, they would not be wearing that to the gym in public unless the gym was a private one in our house. You know what I mean?
Yeah, like I saw one where her, okay, like her hip bones were showing.
I think I
Like
saw that one too
hip
that you saw.
bones,
Yeah.
you see the tops of her hip bones, and then
Right.
the shoulders are only that, like it's from here to here.
Yep.
You know?
Yep. I saw that one. It leaves very little of the imagination, and I just think that maybe standards are different. Like, for example, my point to the woman I was referencing earlier was I wasn't trying to say that no, men should be able to look at women and if they're, like she said, naked, then they've got a right to go ahead and attack them. No, not at all. But at what point do the clothes come down so much to where they're just literally almost nothing there to where that's acceptable? And I guess that's a whole nother tangent. That's a cultural, societal issue that we could probably cover in another 30 minutes on a different topic sometime. But um, I guess that's just something there, like you said, that's going to have to be now on the checklist for gym etiquette of what guys will probably have to determine and figure out what works for them.
And there's plenty of women out there, myself included, who is, I appreciate men's bodies.
Uh-huh.
I think we all look. There's nothing wrong with that. I mean,
Right.
we are animals. We are designed to reproduce. So this is a natural thing to do.
Yep.
It's your next reaction, what comes out of your mouth, and how long you stare and what you're staring at that makes the difference. But
Yeah.
I mean, I even walk up to people and compliment them. I'll be like, dude, your quads rock.
Yeah.
Couldn't stop staring at your vastus lateralis.
Yeah. Well,
But,
that's true.
that's
You're
like
right.
being cute. I'm not being an a-hole.
No, Kristy, that brings up another great point that in our human primate conditions, we are wired, let's face it, all of us, yes, we do want to know that person, but the first thing that attracts us to people, for the most part, are how they look like to us. And that's what, that physical attraction is. And so if we get beyond that, like you said, it determines what's said next. If a guy says something totally inappropriate, then no, that's not welcome, that's not accepted. That would be creeping. If you, for example, say to a guy, "Hey, great quads," if someone said, if a woman said that to me, I'd be like, "Hey, wow, that's like the nicest thing anybody's ever said to me, like all year." And so there probably is a distinction there somewhere, but I don't think that the levels and shades of gray are so much to where these influenced TikTok girls can be going around and just putting a stigma blanket on all these guys thinking that all men are creeps. I mean, that's just totally not fair.
No, it's not true either. I mean, I have two brothers, and I have a bunch of men friends,
Yeah,
and not one of them is a creep. But I bet every one of them has been perceived as one at some point
right.
from a false perspective on something they did that was completely neutral.
Yeah, yeah, very well said, Kristy. Yeah, no question about it. Yeah, well, this has been so much fun, and I knew this was going to be again, we could probably talk for another half hour on this topic alone, but I think we just scratched the surface on it, and it's really cool to have delved into the psychology on this because there's so much there. But next time we do a video blog together, I've got another really cool, interesting topic to talk to you about, and we'll leave it as a cliffhanger. How about that? Because we got to schedule another one of these. But I was going to pick your brain on the latest, and again, you don't have to answer, but now there are a lot of fitness centers that are allowing the other gender to go into the public locker rooms. And I thought that would be a really insightful one to talk to you about, because many states are allowing this to pass. And I know that that's going to be another divided one. Not to get too political, so we not get people angry and fighting on this, but it's interesting just to see this evolving to where this wouldn't have been something, whatever, 10, 15 years ago. So I can't wait to talk to you about that one, because I'm really getting into these contemporary controversial gym topics, and I'm really enjoying, talking to different people like you about this, and especially you, because your brain just thinks so much like mine. I think that we're always in sync on a lot of alignment and parallel to how we see these things.
Yeah, absolutely. I've noticed that too. We seem to be somewhat politically aligned and what have you.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
there is a word in Tibetan that's called papancha. Have you ever heard it?
I have not. No. What's papancha? What is that?
It is a thought storm. And what it is basically is, there's no word for it in English. But, okay, say you get one piece of information and you make a million assumptions and stories off of this assumption. A guy looking at you. Somebody texts you and says, I can't make it to dinner tonight. Call me next week. But they give no reason. And you start assuming, what did I do wrong? What did I say last time I saw them? Why is this guy staring at me? Oh my God, I'm wearing this, push-up bra. Maybe he's staring at my boobs. Oh, he's a creep. He's going to follow me to my car. I got to call the manager. You play it out, and all of a sudden you're going to be raped in the parking lot.
Right, yeah.
That's, I think, where the neuroses come from, is a lot of this, take one little piece of data and then explode into a big story that you're not sure if it's true or not.
Very well said, Kristy. And that's so much what that word papancha, that could cover today. That could cover our next blog too, because there's a lot there for sure. And I'm guilty of it. That word that, that's Tibetan, I definitely make those assumptions. And I've been wrong so many times, in my own assumptions. But this was so much fun as always, Kristy. Before we get out of here, I know that we're checking out. Let's go ahead and get your contact information now and plug it before we end this, please.
Okay. Kristy Wegert from My Workout Buddy in Las Vegas. I'm KW, My Workout Buddy at gmail.com. Text me at 404-641-7173. Or if you just want to read some of my testimonials or see any of the videos with Taryn and I, it's my-workoutbuddy.com.
Yeah, perfect, Kristy. We will get that on the screen. And thank you so much again. And we'll definitely leave that as a cliffhanger. I can't wait to talk to you on the next vlog. We'll hit that next controversial topic because it's so much fun, just to see what different perspectives on this are. And we'll get other, hopefully, people commenting on what they think. So anybody watching this, please feel free to comment if you agree with us or disagree with us, or give us, it always creates good dialogue and engagement. That's what we're looking for. So definitely reach out to Kristy and check out My Workout Buddy. And Kristy, thank you so much as always for your time. Really appreciate it. We'll let you go, and we will see you next time.
Perfect. Thanks again.
Thank you, Kristy.